All right. Uh, so, uh, I thought I would bring something about that I haven't seen a whole lot of getting brought up on YouTube. Um, so, first off, I live in high desert, not Sahara desert, you know. Um, and so we have really poor soil out here. And we pretty much have our choice between hard concrete like rock, sand, and diatomaceous earth. And none of them are really great to work with. Um, I did a video uh, I just got through posting about doing an alternative to straw bale gardening, or cheap alternative to straw bale gardening. And if you go through and follow that instruction, then in a year or two, you end up with this stuff here. It's all pretty well broke down. This stuff's a little chunky because I haven't watered it as much the last 2 years it's been sitting in the ground. But it started out in this raised bed. It was hay till it was overflowing with hay. And then I put pretty much raw manure on top of it and then watered it in. And over time, the nitrogen leached through, broke down all the straw, and gives me this stuff here. Real light, fluffy. It's actually some pretty stuff. It's just a little too much hummus in there. But what we do have out here is huge amounts of sand. So, and it's not like beach sand, but it's kind of like beach sand. Um, and so it's you could do the same thing with you know play sand or something like that if you want to do a smaller scale. I have lots of this stuff, so it's not that big a deal. But I dug out everything that was in here. After that, those are 10-inch 2x10s. So there's two of them. It's a terrace deal. I got to put a third one up eventually to cover up that roofing tin. But so there's like 20 inches over 2 years. It's broke down into two wheelbarrow loads. Um, and so I wanted to raise this back up so I can put the third terrace on there. Uh, so I dug it all out, put it into the wheelbarrows. Then I've backfilled this with like 20 wheelbarrows or so, I think, of maybe 15, something like that, of the sand. And what I'll end up doing is putting all this composty stuff on top. I'll just, throw I'll fill up the rest of this bed full of the compost. Um, and I'll be able to plant into it. As I water in this bed, the compost will leach into the sand, and I've been doing that one for a couple years too, and it basically ends up turning this whole thing into this dark, rich, like sandy loam, which is something we do not have out here in the desert. So you can pretty much, I mean, it comes up, it'll grow anything. It's beautiful dirt. It's a really nice seed bed because eventually all that humus stuff will break down, and every year I'll come through and just put a little couple inches of finished compost over the top of it to pop it back up, put a little more nutrient into it, and in a year, 2 years, this will be all beautiful dirt. Um, and the thing is, it's not really the fastest way to make dirt. This method and then the straw bale alternative are not necessarily the fastest way to make compost, but you can grow in them both the first year you do it, and you can eventually dig them out. Like a lot of times I'll do it like this, and then the next year I'll put two raised beds in, backfill them with sand, and then top them off with this straw bale stuff. I'll dig up an old straw bale deal, and I'll divide the tops. I'll cap off the sand raised beds with a few inches, 5-6 inches of this straw bale stuff. And so it takes you years before it's a beautiful bed, but if you have a big enough garden, and you do it on a large enough scale, you know, you can put in like 10 new raised beds every year. And you build them one year, you let them rest for the year, go through the winter, break down, and then the next year you can divide them up into 10 more. And then, so every year you're able to compound what you're doing. And so in a matter of 3 years, you can get, I don't know, God, I'm up to like 30 some raised beds now, doing it this way. That's really working for me. So hopefully that'll help somebody and make their life a little easier. Have a good one.